stop right there. Before you buy your next car, you need to hear this. Because there are cars on the road today that are nothing less than financial traps. Machines that look good on the outside, but inside, they're designed to break, to fail early, and to empty your wallet long before you hit even 60,000 miles. Think about it. A car isn't just a purchase. It's supposed to be a long-term investment in your comfort, safety, and freedom. But some manufacturers cut corners, use cheap parts, and sell flashy designs just to hook you in. The result? Cars that break down faster than you can pay them off, forcing you into a nightmare of repair bills and frustration. And here's the scary part. Most of these cars are popular. People buy them every single day, thinking they've made a smart choice, until the truth shows up in the form of blown engines, failing transmissions, and endless trips to the mechanic. This video is your warning, a survival guide, because I'm going to reveal 10 cars you should never, ever buy. Cars that promise the world but deliver nothing but stress, debt, and disappointment. If you value your hard-earned money, if you want a car that actually lasts, then stay with me till the end, because some of these cars are shockingly common, and the one sitting in your driveway right now might just be on this list. Let's get started with the first one. A car that has left countless owners furious, broke, and wishing they had listened before signing the papers. Dodge Journey. Let's kick off this list with a car that has become almost legendary. But for all the wrong reasons. I'm talking about the Dodge Journey. At first glance, it looks like the perfect family SUV. Spacious, affordable, and loaded with features. But under that attractive shell lies one of the most unreliable vehicles in modern history. Owners report endless issues. Failing engines, transmissions that die before hitting 60,000 miles, cheap interior materials that start falling apart, and electronics that seem to have a mind of their own. And the worst part? Dodge tried to market the Journey as a budget-friendly option, but in reality, it bleeds its owners dry with constant repair bills that quickly wipe out any savings from its low sticker price. Mechanics practically laugh when they hear someone bought a Dodge Journey. They know it's only a matter of time before it's towed into the shop. From fuel system failures to weak suspension parts, this SUV is a masterclass in how not to build a reliable car. And here's the kicker. Many people still buy it, drawn in by its low cost. But cheap up front doesn't mean cheap in the long run. In fact, it's the opposite. By the time you've replaced the transmission, fixed the endless electrical gremlins, and dealt with its poor build quality, you'll have spent more than if you had just bought a reliable Toyota or Honda in the first place. If there's one lesson here, it's this: don't let the price tag fool you. The Dodge Journey isn't a bargain. It's a trap. And it's a trap that thousands of owners have fallen into, only to regret every single mile. And if you think that's bad, wait until you hear about the next car on this list. A vehicle so notorious, mechanics practically beg customers not to bring it into their garage. Chrysler Sebring. Next up, we have a car that almost perfectly represents why Chrysler earned such a bad reputation in the late 2000s, the Chrysler Sebring. On paper, it looked like a stylish mid-size sedan, with enough comfort to compete with Honda Accord or Toyota Camry. But in reality, it was a disaster on wheels. The Sebring is one of those cars that mechanics immediately groan about. Why? Because it's plagued with some of the most expensive and frustrating issues a car owner can face. The transmission, unreliable. The engine, known for overheating, sludge buildup, and premature failure. The electronics, constant glitches that made things like the dashboard, power windows, and even the air conditioning stop working randomly. And let's talk about comfort. It was supposed to be a luxury-inspired car, but the ride was harsh, the interior materials felt cheap, and the design aged horribly fast. Owners often complained that within just a few years, the Sebring felt like an old, worn-out vehicle, even if it had barely crossed 50,000 miles. But the real nightmare? The repair bills. Parts for this car are notoriously overpriced compared to its actual value. Imagine buying a budget sedan only to end up spending thousands on a new transmission or electrical repairs that never seem to end. Many people who bought the Sebring ended up trading it in way earlier than planned, just to escape the constant headache. It's cars like the Chrysler Sebring that prove looks can be deceiving. Sure, it had a sleek design for its time, but under the surface it was nothing but a money pit. If you're looking for a sedan that lasts, this is one you absolutely want to avoid. And trust me, things only get worse from here. The next car on our list is infamous for breaking down so often that some mechanics refuse to even touch it. Dodge Nitro. Now let's talk about an SUV that looked tough on the outside but turned out to be one of the weakest performers on the inside, the Dodge Nitro. When it first came out, people loved its bold design. It looked rugged, boxy, almost like a mini Hummer. The marketing promised adventure, durability, and a vehicle built for the outdoors. But here's the truth. The Dodge Nitro is one of the most unreliable SUVs you could ever own. First, let's talk about performance. The Nitro's engine struggled with basic acceleration. For an SUV that was supposed to be powerful, it often felt sluggish and underpowered. Owners reported that even merging onto highways became stressful, because the Nitro simply didn't have the punch you'd expect. And if that wasn't bad enough, the transmission was one of its biggest weak points. Slipping gears, sudden jerks, and total transmission failures became common after just 60,000 miles. Then comes the comfort, or should I say the lack of it. The Nitro's ride quality was stiff, uncomfortable, and noisy. The suspension wasn't built for smooth driving, and over time it only got worse. Many owners said it felt like riding in a truck from the 1980s, not a modern SUV. And the interior? Cheap plastics, rattling noises, and poor design choices made it feel like a rushed product rather than a reliable family vehicle. But the real problem with the Dodge Nitro is how expensive it is to maintain. Once that transmission goes out, or when electrical problems start piling up, you'll be forced to pour thousands into a vehicle that doesn't even hold its resale value. Mechanics often joke that the Nitro spends more time in the shop than on the road, and sadly, they're not wrong. This SUV might have looked aggressive and ready for action, but under the surface, it was nothing but a money pit waiting to drain your savings. And if you think this is bad, wait until you hear about the next car, one that's so infamous for breakdowns, it's practically a legend in the worst possible way. Chrysler Sebring. Next on our list is a car that became so notorious, even die-hard Chrysler fans tried to forget it ever existed, the Chrysler Sebring. At first glance, the Sebring looked like a budget-friendly sedan with stylish curves and plenty of promises. But once owners actually started driving it, reality hit hard. The Sebring is one of those cars that failed in almost every major category. Engine reliability, build quality, comfort, and even safety. Its engines were known for frequent oil leaks, overheating, and premature failure. Many owners reported that by 50,000 miles, their Sebring was already facing major engine or transmission repairs. That's shocking for a vehicle that was marketed as a dependable family sedan. Then there's the interior. Cheap, flimsy plastic panels, outdated electronics, and seats that felt like cardboard. Even the air conditioning system was infamous for failing early. Imagine driving in the middle of summer with no working AC, and being told by a mechanic that fixing it would cost more than the car is worth. That was the Sebring experience for thousands of owners. But the real dagger in the heart of the Sebring was its resale value, or should I say, the lack of it. Once word spread about its unreliability, nobody wanted to buy a used Sebring. Owners were stuck with a car that constantly demanded expensive repairs and yet had almost no market value. To make things worse, Chrysler's reputation took a big hit because of this model, making it one of the most infamous sedans of its time. Here's the bottom line. The Chrysler Sebring wasn't just a bad car. It was a financial trap. If you bought one, you basically signed up for years of frustration, repair bills, and disappointment. And just when you think you've heard the worst, the next car on our list is a vehicle that became the ultimate definition of overpromise and underdeliver. Jeep Liberty. Now let's talk about an SUV that was supposed to carry the proud Jeep legacy of toughness and durability, but instead, it ended up being a complete nightmare for thousands of owners. The Jeep Liberty. When Jeep launched the Liberty, they marketed it as a smaller, more affordable version of their legendary off-road machines. Buyers thought they were getting rugged capability at a lower price. But what they really got was a vehicle plagued with mechanical flaws and design failures that made it one of the most regrettable SUVs ever sold in America. The biggest issue? The transmission. Owners often reported failure well before hitting even 70,000 miles. Imagine buying an SUV, thinking it will last you a decade, and then having to shell out thousands of dollars for a transmission replacement within a few years. And if that wasn't bad enough, the Liberty also had a reputation for engine overheating, suspension breakdowns, and electrical gremlins that would drive mechanics crazy. And let's not forget safety. The Liberty performed poorly in crash tests compared to its competitors. A Jeep is supposed to make you feel safe on tough roads, but the Liberty often left drivers and passengers vulnerable in accidents. Add to that its cheap interior, uncomfortable seats, and weak fuel economy, and you've got a recipe for disappointment. But the final nail in the coffin was its resale value. Just like the Chrysler Sebring, the Liberty quickly gained a reputation as a money pit. Within a few years, used car buyers completely avoided it, leaving original owners stuck with a vehicle they couldn't even give away without taking a massive financial hit. So instead of being a smaller, smarter Jeep, the Liberty became a symbol of failure, a vehicle that destroyed trust in the Jeep brand for many buyers. And as bad as the Liberty was, the next car on our list is even more shocking. It looked like a premium ride, but owning one could drain your wallet faster than almost any other car on the road. BMW 7 Series. Now let's shift gears and talk about a car that was designed to impress. A car that screams luxury and success. The BMW 7 Series. On the outside, it looks like a dream, sleek styling, powerful engines, and cutting-edge technology. For decades, it's been the flagship of BMW, the car that executives and business leaders proudly drove. But here's the shocking truth. Owning a 7 Series can be one of the biggest financial disasters you'll ever experience. The problem isn't that the car lacks features, it actually has too many. The 7 Series is overloaded with complex electronics, from high-tech suspension systems to digital dashboards and advanced driver aids. And while all that tech sounds impressive in a brochure, in real life it means one thing: constant, expensive breakdowns. Owners have reported everything from iDrive system failures, air suspension leaks, transmission malfunctions, and endless electrical gremlins. Something as small as a sensor can cost you hundreds, and when larger systems fail, repairs can easily climb into the thousands. And here's the kicker. These problems don't wait until the car has racked up 150,000 miles. Many start appearing as early as 50,000 to 60,000 miles. Imagine buying a luxury car thinking it will serve you for a decade, only to find yourself at the mechanic every other month after just a few years of ownership. Then there's depreciation. Luxury cars drop in value quickly, but the 7 Series is notorious for losing tens of thousands of dollars in just a few years. You could buy one brand new for over $80,000, and within 5 years it might be worth less than half of that. That means you're not only paying through the nose for repairs, you're also watching your car's value evaporate. So while the BMW 7 Series might turn heads when you drive by, it can empty your wallet faster than you ever imagined. And that's why smart buyers often avoid it altogether, no matter how tempting the badge looks. But if you think this luxury disaster is bad, wait until you hear about the next car. It's not just unreliable. It's one of the most hated cars in America. Chrysler 200. Next on the list is the Chrysler 200, a car that promised to be a stylish, affordable midsize sedan but quickly became one of the most hated cars in America. When it first launched, Chrysler marketed it as a blend of design, comfort, and affordability, a car that could compete with Toyota Camry or Honda Accord. But in reality, it turned into a nightmare for thousands of owners. So what went wrong? Well, let's start with the transmission. Chrysler gave the 200 a 9-speed automatic that was supposed to deliver smooth driving and great fuel efficiency. Instead, it delivered jerky shifts, hesitation, stalling, and complete transmission failures. Imagine pulling onto a busy highway and suddenly your car doesn't respond the way it should. Dangerous and frustrating. But the issues didn't stop there. The Chrysler 200 also suffered from engine problems, electrical failures, and poor build quality. Simple things like door handles, switches, and interior trim wore out far too quickly, making the car feel cheap despite being brand new. Owners often complained that the car spent more time at the dealership than in their driveway. And then there's the resale value, or rather, the lack of it. Because the 200 quickly gained a reputation for being unreliable, the used market completely rejected it. A car that might have cost $25,000 new could be worth less than $8,000 just a few years later. That's not depreciation, that's financial devastation. The backlash was so strong that Fiat Chrysler actually killed off the Chrysler 200 entirely in 2017, ending production after just a few years. When an automaker completely abandons a model, that tells you everything you need to know. So if you're hunting for a reliable used sedan, stay far away from the Chrysler 200. It's not just a bad car. It's a car that's been officially buried by its own company. But don't relax just yet, because the next car on this list might shock you. It's not an obscure sedan or a forgotten flop. It's a popular SUV that millions of people trusted, and yet it's been quietly draining wallets all across the country. Jeep Cherokee. Coming in at number 8, let's talk about the Jeep Cherokee. Now on paper, this SUV looked like the perfect combination of rugged capability and everyday comfort. Jeep is a legendary brand, known for off-road performance, adventure, and American heritage. But the Cherokee, especially models from 2014 onwards, turned into one of the biggest disappointments in the SUV market. The first major issue? You guessed it, the transmission. Jeep equipped the Cherokee with the same 9-speed automatic used in the Chrysler 200, and just like its sedan cousin, it was a disaster. Owners reported hard shifts, gear slipping, random stalling, and in some cases, complete transmission replacements within the first 40,000 miles. When you buy an SUV, you expect confidence on the road, not anxiety about whether your car will even shift properly. Then came the electrical system problems. From failing infotainment screens to unpredictable dashboard warnings, the Cherokee became notorious for confusing owners and mechanics alike. Imagine driving down the road and suddenly seeing your check engine light, ABS light, and transmission warning all pop up at once, without any clear explanation. That's not reliability. That's chaos. And while Jeep tried to market this SUV as trail-rated and capable of handling adventure, the truth is that many owners found the Cherokee underpowered and poorly built. The 4-cylinder struggled under the weight of the SUV, and even the V6 models often developed engine misfires and oil consumption issues far too early in their lifespan. To make matters worse, the Cherokee also suffers from terrible resale value. People quickly realized it was unreliable, so the used market dropped its value drastically. If you bought one new, you were almost guaranteed to lose thousands when it came time to sell or trade it in. So while Jeep may have an amazing reputation with the Wrangler and Grand Cherokee, the Cherokee itself became a black eye for the brand. It promised adventure but delivered constant trips to the mechanic and crushing repair bills. But the worst part? Many families trusted this SUV because of the Jeep name, and found themselves stuck with a vehicle that bled them dry. And if you think that's bad, wait until you see the next car. Because the next one isn't just unreliable, it's one of the most overhyped luxury cars that fooled buyers into thinking they were buying status, when in reality they were buying stress. Automobile Part 10 Car Number 10. Range Rover, Land Rover Range Rover. Finally, at number 10 we have the Range Rover. On the outside, it's the ultimate symbol of wealth, power, and status. Celebrities love it, CEOs drive it, and people dream about owning one. But here's the harsh reality. Behind the luxury badge hides one of the least reliable and most expensive to maintain SUVs ever made. The problems start with the air suspension system. It's designed to give a smooth ride and adjust height, but these systems fail constantly, and repairs can run into the thousands. Owners report breakdowns as early as 40,000 to 50,000 miles, and once one thing fails, the chain of problems never stops. Then comes the electronics. From the infotainment system to the digital dashboard, sensors, cameras, and advanced features, these high-tech systems are prone to glitches. And fixing them isn't just costly. It's frustrating, because even dealerships struggle to keep them working properly. And let's not forget engine reliability. Oil leaks, transmission failures, and cooling system problems are all too common. Some owners say that buying a Range Rover feels like signing up for a lifetime membership with the repair shop. The real trap? People buy them used, thinking they're getting a luxury bargain. But once the warranty expires, the maintenance bills come so fast and so high that most owners regret the purchase within months. That's why you'll see so many used Range Rovers on the market, They're not selling them because they're upgrading. They're selling because they can't afford to keep them running. So while the Range Rover might make you look successful, it's secretly one of the fastest ways to bleed your bank account dry. That's it. 10 cars to avoid if you value your money and peace of mind. Choose smart, drive smart. Automobile dashing away. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more.